Let's dive in here, guys. Welcome back to another Greenbar Trading weekly webinar here. My name is Chris Zielinski. I run greenbartrading.com. All the info to contact me is right here on your screen. My website, Facebook, Twitter, Ticker TV if y'all want to hit me up for mentoring, look at my trades on TraderView, or just contact me via email. It's all right here. We're just going to chat tonight briefly about developing some more control in your trading. So I talked to a few people on Twitter and just wanted to, let people, kind of give me the ideas in terms of, what they want to hear about. And one of the requests that I got was, people want to know, how do you develop more control in your trading? How do you manage your emotions better? And, if you end up with a crappy entry, how do you fix it? How do you maintain that control? And this is a question that I get a lot, actually. So I put together 4 or 5 things that I think will help with developing more emotional control in your trading. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So once again, for those that don't know me, if this is your first time here, we do these weekly webinars. We do them once a week, either on Saturday or Sunday. And we just kind of get together and chat about different subjects related to trading. And so if you have questions, you can feel free to put those questions into the chat box to the right of the video, and we'll just answer them in real time as we kind of go along. And then, the whole thing will be recorded and you can watch it later on afterwards on YouTube. So diving into it, here are some ways to increase your control. So I've split this up into 5 items that I think everybody needs to do in terms of increasing control. So first of all, let's define what control is. Like, what are we talking about? When we're talking about increasing control. Well, a lot of new traders, right? They tend to overtrade. They tend to trade too much. They tend to trade, too quickly, too much size. They're just kind of all over the place. And, so one of the things that comes to mind for me when we talk about increasing control is reducing the number of trades that you're taking and becoming a little bit more focused on the trades that you do take. So one of the things that you can do in order to develop better control and to develop, more consistent profitability is to do what I call stalking your trades. So basically it amounts to being patient. You should know kind of what you're looking for in terms of your best setups. At first you might only have like a couple of ideas each day. So I think one of the biggest ways that people can increase their control, right, is to become more of a stalker in terms of their trades, right? Wait for that perfect entry. Don't be so quick to just jump on the boat right out of the open. Give the trades 15 minutes to set up or something along those lines. If it's a trade that you think is going to be very explosive, just remember that, the stock you don't need to be in on the first candle in order to make money on it, right? You can get in 15 minutes after the open, and if it's a strong stock, if it's a solid trade, then you can ride it all day long, or you can trade it in and out, multiple times throughout the day. But in terms of, the trades that you're making, you should be stalking your trades. You should be waiting for that perfect entry. And in doing that, it's going to drastically reduce the number of trades that you're taking. So how do you know what you're looking for, right? One of the ways that you can try to decide what you're looking for is to track all of your trades. So if you haven't done this before, you can use a system like traderview.com to categorize them. What you basically want to do is start off by just tracking every single trade that you make and try to put them all into a category, right? So whether it's flag breakouts, flat top breakouts, parabolic trades, whatever the category is of the trade, right? Try to categorize everything and make sure that you, have a system so that you can identify which trades are working and which ones aren't. And once you know statistically speaking, which trades are working and which ones aren't, then, you can decide what your best performers are. And that's how you should be able to, know what you're looking for. So for me, what I did, right, was I took all of the trades that I've made, and this takes a long time, right? Because you have to make all of the trades before you can, have that data. So what I did was I took all of my trades and I categorized them into, long trades and short trades. And then I categorized them into intraday versus swing trade. And then I categorized all of the intraday trades into different setups, like parabolic setups or flag breakouts or flat top breakouts or whatever the case might be. And then I ran the statistics on them and basically looked at my win rate. I looked at my reward to risk ratio, and I decided which ones were the best, right? Which ones am I making the most money on? Which ones do I have the best reward to risk on? Which ones do I have the highest win rate on? And so once I know that, right, then I can eliminate everything that is not that thing and use that as my definition for what I should be stalking, right? In terms of stalking your trades, you should know kind of an ideal pattern or an idealistic pattern that you're looking for. So even within a certain setup, within a certain type of flag, for example, if we were to do something like, we were to look at a trade like this, this is technically a flag, right? That you could buy here, or you could buy the dips. This is a flag, right? You also have flags that look like this, where they're descending. You have flags that look like this, where it's just very high and tight, and there's like a big range on it, at the top. So, there's all different types of trades and different types of patterns. So you should know exactly what you're looking for in terms of what you're going to stalk, right? Are you stalking this type of flag? Are you stalking this type of flag? Are you stalking this type of flag? You got to know exactly what you're looking for. In terms of parabolics, do you want a stock that goes, just sort of trending up like this? Or do you want a stock that goes straight up? Or do you want a stock that goes up and then fakes a little breakdown and then goes higher? There's all different ways that a stock that a pattern can materialize. So you've got to kind of pay attention to exactly what you're looking for. And the only way that you can know that is by tracking your trades and using that to know what you're looking for. The third way that you can increase your control is to accept that trading is inconsistent. You might be profitable every single day, right? But the profit level is never going to be the same. So even if you're consistently making money, right? Even these people out there that are making $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 every single day, right? It's never the exact same amount of money. It's never $5,000 every single day, right? One day it's 1,000, the next day it's 6,000, the next day it's 3,000, and so on and so forth. So you might be profitable every single day, but overall, you have to accept inconsistent income. And one of the things that I've always seen new traders do is they have a daily goal, right? They want to make $300 a day or $200 a day, and to me, that's really dangerous because it promotes forcing trades that just aren't there in order to meet the goal. So for me, one of the ways that I increased my control and my consistency was actually to accept that trading is going to be inconsistent. So I think that's a really important thing to remember. Number 4, you should be willing to accept loss, right? Obviously, losses are a part of trading. The bottom line, guys, is that if you took the trade that you planned, if you stuck to your plan and it just didn't work out, then you did the right thing, right? You knew what you were looking for. You stalked the trade. You were patient. You waited for a good entry. You took the entry and it just didn't work out. Then, shit happens, right? Losses are part of trading. So sometimes that happens. Now, if you see that happening repeatedly, right, like you're sticking to your plan over and over and over again, you feel like you're nailing every single entry, you feel like you're doing stuff exactly as you're supposed to, and you're repeatedly seeing losses on the same pattern, then maybe it's time to accept that that pattern just doesn't work, and you need to start looking for a different one, or you need to play it in a different way. So, so far we've talked about stalking your trades. We've talked about knowing what you're looking for. We've talked about accepting both losses and accepting that trading is inconsistent. All of these things can help you to increase your control in your trading and to be, more patient and more consistent in the way that you're, making your money. The last one is to see the bigger picture, right? So this is kind of a side effect, right, of knowing what you're looking for. Knowing what you're looking for in terms of the pattern and in terms of the flow and the other characteristics of the trade, like the average volume, the short interest, all those types of things. We've talked about this stuff in past webinars. So if you're unfamiliar with the terminology, go back and watch the rest of the webinars, and it'll help to clarify some of this stuff. But knowing what you're looking for, it is going to help in terms of seeing the bigger picture, because once you've seen enough of these things, you know how you expect the pattern to materialize. You understand kind of, what you expect to see at the end of it, right? At the end of the day. And so for me, right, just kind of keeping an eye on the bigger picture was really, really helpful in terms of increasing my control, trying to see the trade through. And I think also if you see the bigger picture, it helps you to be patient, right? Because you're not going to be so jumpy in terms of, when you get into the trade, and you're not going to have that risk of having a bad entry just because you thought you were going to miss it because you needed to be in, and you needed to be in the trade that second. If you see the bigger picture, you can see that even if you miss this entry, maybe there's another one in a few minutes that's lower risk, that's going to give you, a better entry and give you the ability to see the trade through to the end. So quick concept tonight, ways to increase your control. You have 5 solid ways here. Be a stalker, know what you're looking for, accept that trading is inconsistent. Even if you are consistently profitable, you're never going to make the same amount of money every single day. Eliminate that daily goal idea so that it does not promote forcing bad trades in order to just meet the goal. Accept that losses are a part of trading, and then see the bigger picture. Quick webinar tonight. It's not going to be, so there's not a whole lot to say about this, right? You just have to, basically what it boils down to is you got to be more patient. If you want to have better control in your trading, if you want to be less emotional, you have to be more calculated. You have to know what you're looking for. And you have to realize that, sometimes you're not going to make a trade some days. There might just be a day where you don't make any trades at the beginning. These people that are making trades every single day, all day long, and making consistent money, a lot of them have been doing it for 15, 20, 30 years. So they have lots and lots and lots of data backing up every single trade that they make. When you're a new trader, you've only been doing it for 6 months or a year or 2 years, it's just really difficult to do that. And so you might have days where you just don't make any trades, right? Because you're only looking for one very particular thing. And when you see it, you just jump on it. But some days it might just not happen. So those are my thoughts in terms of increasing control. Feel free to ask questions about this stuff. Let's open it up to questions. I saw we had one earlier. A gentleman wanted to know, I saw your Mentor Me podcast. It was nice. You said M and M2 in that. Who is he? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Can you clarify what you mean by that? And in the meantime, if anyone else has other questions, throw them into the chat box, even if it's not about increasing control. If it's just about other things related to trading, feel free to ask. We've got some extra time tonight. Daniel wants to know, how do you start finding the right trades to go for? Well, let me ask you this. Do you have, so he says that is when you're trying to control, but finding your particular style or chart. Yeah, so that's the tough part, Daniel, is that in the beginning, right, you kind of just have to like wing it, right? Because you gotta collect the data. You have to know, you have to have a lot of data on what does and doesn't work. So, that's why it's nice to have things like paper trading, because you can take lots and lots of trades. So you paper trade for 6 months or so, and just collect all the data using a system like TraderView to categorize it all and to, run the statistics on it. But, that's why you have to be well funded in order to trade stocks, because that initial period, you don't have any way to know what you're really supposed to be looking for, without just trying different things until you find something that works. So, that's how I learned, right? But I did this over the course of many years. And, I think that's why, it takes so long. The other thing that you can do is, to hire somebody to teach you what some of the patterns are that you should be looking for. I also did that, right? I took a couple of courses and bought some DVDs and those types of things. I hired a mentor. So, if you need that type of assistance, I also provide that type of assistance. So, you can feel free to hit me up via email or go to my website and we can talk about it. But, that's one of the biggest things, right? Is you just have to, you just got to like kind of trade everything at first. But do it with paper trading, obviously, so you're not risking real money. But you got to just, collect a ton of data. If you really have no idea where to start, then, your best option is probably going to be to hire somebody to teach you. Yeah, Daniel, I totally understand. He's saying it feels like there's too many different choices of types of charts. Yeah, that's why I, personally, why I hired somebody to, kind of weed out all of the inconsistent stuff. Not necessarily inconsistent stuff, but weed out all of the stuff that I didn't need to be paying attention to. Because you're right, when you first start out, you're like, oh, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. Everything looks good because you have no idea what actually is good. So I totally understand. But, in terms of how much money you're going to spend and how much time you're going to spend, in figuring that out, I lost thousands and thousands of dollars when I first started trading, a long time ago, right? Because I didn't, we didn't have like all these things that we do now, like one-on-one mentorship and boot camps and DVDs and all these things that we have now. We didn't have that back then. So it was just kind of a free for all, right? You just buy a bunch of stuff, and if it doesn't work, then you lose money, and you kind of write down the loss and say, well, if it hurts when you do that, don't do that anymore. So now it's a little bit easier since you have other resources available. Gable, still didn't get your clarification. You said something about M and M2, and I still am not sure what you're talking about. All right, one person also wants to know, do you have a set loss level for when you enter a trade, or a mental stop, either in dollar terms, depending on size, or a certain price point? Yeah, Daniel, I do. On every single chart that I trade, every single trade that I make, I always have a stop in mind. I don't use hard stop losses. In other words, I don't put an order out into the market because I don't want it to get, taken down by a market maker or something like that. So I don't actually put out an order, but I always have a mental area in mind where I'm going to stop out of the trade. And it depends on the trade in terms of what it is, right? It's different setups have different types of stop losses. I'm going to risk more money on certain setups than I will on others. So I don't have a specific number that I'm looking for on every single trade, right? But I always go into a trade with a plan, with an idea of where I'm going to stop out in case I'm wrong. Oh, so Gables, he's asking me in the Mentor Me podcast, which if you guys aren't familiar with that, if you go to mentormepodcast.com, I did an interview for them a while ago, and they asked me who's my ideal mentor. And actually who I said was Eminem, who is he's actually a rapper, right? He's an artist, in case you're not familiar with him. But yeah, Gable, he's a musician, right? He's a rapper. And the reason that I said him is because he came kind of out of nowhere. You know, he was, well, I explained it in the interview, you know, why I felt that way. But, you know, I just thought he was a really interesting choice just because, you know, he had kind of a crappy childhood, right? His mother was a drug addict and he lived in a trailer park and he was on welfare. And he went from that, right, to being an international recording artist, selling millions and millions of CDs and becoming a multimillionaire. And, you know, nobody really believed in his rapping capabilities. And so, you know, for me, it was like just a big, you know, he's a big motivation, I guess, because if someone, you know, who came out of a trailer park with, you know, no father and a drug addict mom can turn into a multimillionaire recording artist, then, you know, why can't some people like you guys, right, go from not knowing anything about trading to, you know, becoming millionaires at this? So that's who he is. I'll spell it for you in the chat. All right, anything else? You got it, Daniel, no problem. Yeah, I don't know, it was kind of a weird answer, honestly, to that question. Everyone was like, my dad is my idol. I was like, fuck that, Eminem. He's the man. All right. Going once. Any other questions? Going twice. All right. Cool. So quick webinar tonight, just half an hour. If you have any other questions, concerns, comments, whatever, you know, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'll go back to my background slide here. Follow me on Twitter if you want. I always respond to tweets if you guys have questions about anything. You can also find me on Facebook, my website, greenbartrading.com. Trader View, this link here, I have a bunch of trades shared so that y'all can look at them and see where I entered and where I exited. Or if you just want to, you know, hit me up via email, just ask me questions. info@greenbartrading.com. So thanks for coming, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening, and I will talk to you soon. Later.